Yeah, my sisters, they were very like proud of me. They were like happy that I was able to build a windmill. And right now, I think the windmill. Like the place.
Your parents and your friends are gonna think of you.
Then I'm a generator. After putting everything together, I was able to build this windmill, which was generating electricity that we were using for light. And also, we are also using the power to power up the radio so that we can listen to what was happening around the world. And the other thing that I had to do, I also had to build this circuit breaker is to control if the wires, there's a spark, it can shut down the whole system. Instead of like burning the house, it can protect it from that happening. So I built it using the wires and with the nails and winding up wires on it and the magnet in between. So what happened is that once there's a short circuit, one end of the nail turn into a magnet and the other, both ends of the nails they turn into a magnet and there's a magnet in between. And one magnet pulls, the other one pushes, and once it goes to one side, in the between there was a switch that it just turned off that switch, and then the whole system shuts down that way. That's the light switch that I use through flap levers that I'll be like turning on and off the lights. So when I made this windmill, I didn't stop going to the library. I continued, and I always like check out the same book. One day the librarian asked me, "Why do you always check out the same book?" I explained to her that the book inspired me to build a windmill which generates power, and she was very interested to come and see the windmill. She came to see the windmill, and she went back. A few weeks later, the organization that started different libraries in different communities, they were visiting all the libraries to see how well people were using the libraries. When they came to my library, the librarian told them about my work, and they visited my village and they went back. They came back next time with some journalists. One of the journalists wrote an article about my windmill. And that article was picked up by one of my friends. He put that article in his blog, and that blog was picked up by somebody who was organizing the TED conference. When he saw that article, he wanted to invite me to attend the conference, which was held in Arusha, Tanzania. But for them to invite me, it was very hard because it was hard to find me. So they had to call the journalist who wrote the article. The journalist who wrote the article called the organization that brought them to my village. The organization that brought them to my village called the librarian. The librarian called my cousin. My cousin called my other cousin. Finally, that cousin told me. So that time, it was very hard to find me. And when I was invited to go to the conference, I was very excited and also worried at the same time. One thing that I was excited, I was worried, where am I going to stay? How am I going to get there?